Hey everybody, this is Sean with Chester Paul Company, and thank you very much for spending a few minutes and hanging out and learning a little bit about Luminar and UV. Today we've got Myron and Rob with Luminar. Myron, why don't you start us off and say hi to the folks and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. So again, my name is Myron Lupal, and I'm the president and founder of Luminor Environmental, and we're a UV manufacturing company located in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Guelph is about 80 kilometers west of Toronto. We've been doing this now for 10 years. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary. I myself have been doing this for a little more than 10 years, but so 10 years doing this. Started in a relatively small 6,000 square foot facility here in Guelph, and about a year and a half ago we moved into a facility just around 30,000 square feet. So we've been continually growing as our business has evolved over these 10 years. So started with 4 people in a little small shop, and now we're a little over 50 people, sell to around 55 countries around the globe. Big part of our business is our private label programs. So we run about 45 private label programs for that white space business. So you might not have seen our brand names as, let's say, Blackcomb, but you've definitely seen our product through one of our private branded companies. So our business continues to grow.
Thanks, Myron. And Rob?
Rob Woodland here. I've been with Luminor just over 3 years, and fastly growing company. I look after North America for sales, and excited to be here. So thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. I've known Myron shoot probably 20 years now, right?
20 years, yes.
20 years. 20 fun years, or a lot of them are. This last one slowed us down a little bit, but
you know what, the water treatment industry, I mean, a lot of good people. I always say to people who come to work for our company, I mean, it's not the sexiest business out there, but a lot of very loyal people, and just a good group of people to be with. So I mean, I started off, this is my first job at a university was a sales job in a company that sold the Cuno filter line way back when, and right out of school with a business degree, and 34 years later I'm still doing the same thing. So I couldn't have found a better industry to be in. It's especially the UV part of that industry. I mean, with our product line, I mean, you look at something that's relatively recession proof. I mean, we all drink water and we all need safe disinfected water. So from a standpoint of our business, the UV space, there's no better product line that fits that bill from a recession proof type of a product.
Yeah, so I mean, we've all, when I say we, probably the water industry is the collective we here, right? We've all been around UV and UV manufacturers. And I think consumers in parts of the world are more educated about UV. It seems that, here in the US, especially probably during COVID, or the last 12 months anyway, that UV's kind of been pushed to the forefront. If it's, disinfecting a hospital room, or, down to a point of use type water system. I'm sure we're getting a lot of questions nowadays about virus and how to protect water, or how to protect the point of entry or point of use of your drinking water. Is that the case? You've been seeing a lot of consumers and dealers asking about virus protection?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our product line has been on a meteoric rise over the last year, and I don't necessarily think it's all from the whole pandemic related issue. I mean, UV is one of the fastest growing market segments within water treatment and has been for a long time. I just think the whole COVID situation has put it at the forefront, right? People might have heard of virus and then, talked about having a cold or the sniffles in the wintertime, but now they realize that, okay, a virus could be more than that. It can, it kills people. And there's a lot of other bacteria and viruses out there that can do similar types of things. Some may or may not be found in your water supply. So with UV and with the proper pretreatment with UV, I mean, we have basically a turnkey solution to prevent those types of issues. And if you look at Walkerton in Canada back in the early 2000s, I mean, that's what kind of changed our industry 20 plus years ago. And it was a small town where a water treatment system had some malfunctions, and I think it was seven or 11 people, Rob, I can't remember exactly what, but
Yeah, 7.
some people died back then. And if they had UV systems installed in their applications at that point in time, they wouldn't have had those issues. So now with this whole pandemic related issue, people are asking more and more about UV and what its effects and what it can do. So it's the right product for the right time, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like you were saying, it's always been a great final or barrier after our traditional type filtration or treatment. The WQA and many groups have followed boil water type alerts across the North America here. I mean, I'm a lot more familiar obviously with the US, but we track all of these boil water alerts, and we had a boil water alert in an entire state in Texas not too long ago. Now, I guess, Rob, you're probably familiar with lots of folks down there. What were you seeing them do to treat? Where's a proper place for our folks listening? Like, how do they? Where would they install this? Typically in a home or in a facility.
Usually you're going to see this installed, after all of your other pre-treatments. So, it's going to be after the pump in the house that's on a well, or, after the municipal line that comes into the house. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people add this as a backup because of boil water advisories that have been happening throughout the US for years. People are starting to take this to that next level. They have a smoke detector in their house, just in case there's a fire, and they're starting to add UV as that insurance policy, to make sure if there is a boil water advisory, they are okay. You think of the people in Texas that had UVs already. The issue wasn't that they had UV, but they lost power. And it got so cold, things froze. So now we're seeing people replacing UV systems because they split or broke. And now, looking at the other people, we're getting new inquiries daily for people wanting to add something to protect them. So if this ever did happen again and they had a generator and were able to keep heat and power going, it wouldn't affect them.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. If even if you lose power and you don't have necessarily water available or treatment available at the time, once you get power back and there has been disruption in the lines or whatnot, they're going to call out a boil water alert, and your UV, once it's powered back on, is going to take care of what that boil water alert's asking you to do. It's going to disinfect the water. So I think even if you lose power for a short period of time, the benefits of having a UV to get you back up and going quickly, it probably is well worth it, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that whole idea behind water insurance, as Rob mentions, I mean, I look at it as a fire extinguisher for the home. I mean, I have a fire extinguisher in my home. I've never had a fire in my home. I've never had to use it, but man, if there was ever a problem, I sure want to take that fire extinguisher out. The UV disinfection product is kind of exactly the same thing. Traditionally, we started selling UVs, 30 years ago to people that had known contamination, right? If you were on a well, a lake, a river, a cistern, somewhere where it was a non-municipal type of water source, people put in a UV to protect their own water because they're the only ones that were responsible for it. It wasn't someone else looking after the water. But nowadays we're finding we're selling more and more UVs into that, residential city type of space where people are using this as a protection, that additional barrier, so that if anything were to happen, these boil water advisories, then there is a piece of treatment equipment there that will address this issue. I mean, we have many customers around the world, especially dealer-based types of customers, who add a UV onto every single quote that they put out there, simply as that add-on barrier. And the customer might say, okay, I know I have hardness in my water, and I know my water smells, so I have sulfur or something else in the water. But what's this, UV? What do I need that for? And in reality, it's the only piece of equipment that could eventually save your life. I mean, you're not going to die from turbidity in your water supply, or a little extra hard water. But if there was bacteria in your water supply and someone in your family got sick, it really is that only piece of equipment. And it's probably one of the least expensive portions of that total bill. But it does a huge job when needed or when called upon. So like you said, you get a fire extinguisher, you buy insurance for your car every day, but you never typically get in a car accident. So it's a nice add-on for people to put in their homes.
Yeah, that's that's the message we're kind of, I guess, trying to share today, is that if you're listening to this and you don't offer UV to every customer, customers are a lot more aware nowadays. Consumers are aware of you're going to take care of the PFAS, or you're going to take care of chloramine or whatever else you're trying to treat in the water, and you're going to give them RO to drink out of. But UV, if you're adding UV to every quote and using it as a disinfection last but final barrier, if you can use it at point of entry or point of use, but UV should be in everybody's offering these days as a standard. There's no reason not to.
I mean, businesses have been doing it for a long time. I mean, meat packing plants would have a UV system in place just in case the water was off spec for a short period of time. If these factories are down for minutes, let alone hours, it's just thousands of dollars lost in lost productivity. So they have these types of equipment just as a just in case type of thing. If the power goes out, the generator comes on. If the water causes problems, they have a UV to irradiate the supply. So yeah, it's changing, that's for sure.
We put together a small package, your contractor series, which is a small offering of a pretty basic, price friendly offering. Obviously you do from the highest end, but we're just showing here today a small sampling of a very simple, kind of a good entry level price point type protection for the customer. So you'll see some things pop up and links to that. What's the simplest thing a dealer should lead with when taking a product like this to a consumer?
Well, again, I mean, it's just that protection aspect. I mean, the whole protection aspect, whether or not you have or don't have an issue today, doesn't mean you may or may not have an issue tomorrow. So yeah, the contractor series is one part of our arsenal. I mean, our catalog is 51 pages long with a plethora of products, from tiny point of view systems up to large systems that flow at huge amounts of flow. The contractor series is just designed to make it kind of simple. It's a couple products in a standalone reactor design, and a couple products with a filter product, so 10 and 15 gallon per minute flow rate. Comes with an LED output, still proprietary UV lamp, so you have that protection from that standpoint. You can't really add the options on like you can add on our our high-end systems. I mean, our high-end systems, you can have a Wi-Fi enabled device where it'll email you, send you an SMS message of when your system is offline or when a specific alarm would be on. That's a very elaborate system, and the contractor system is kind of at that bottom end of the scale. But you get the bottom end of the scale, but not from a quality standpoint. I mean, you still have all of the quality components that are in our high-end system. You just get it at a more economical price point, and you forgo some of those potential adders that you might want to add on in the future. But it's a great little product to go to the market for that easy solution.
Cool. Well, hey, I want to thank you guys. And just before we leave, there's a few neat new products you've got. You've got a small LED, kind of a 10-year life, run it till it dies type point of view system that we're going to put some links to that people should check out. It's new to the industry. LED's been talked about a lot, but it's relatively new to UV for drinking water, as far as I'm aware of, anyway. Right?
Yeah, that UV space is new. I mean, the beauty of what the consumers are looking for typically is a mercury-free option. So that's what the LEDs do. It's a UVC LED that provides that disinfection. It's an instant on type of device with unlimited on-off cycles, where traditional UV systems, you plug it in once, you leave it for 8,000 or 9,000 hours, and you change the lamps. Low energy consumption. Sorry?
And then you get people talking about the water tastes warm. So you remove that simple, there's probably guys out there that have heard that and now stay away from UV because they get this simple complaint, and this removes that complaint.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no fouling because the transfer from the water to the LED surface doesn't happen. So you do get that long life. Whether or not you get a lifetime of these UV systems in this LED format is unknown, because they really haven't been around that long. But look at every year, 2,000 tons of mercury goes into a landfill. Well, that's not a good thing. So these LEDs is that next generation, and Luminor over the last couple of years have been at the forefront of that type of technology. I think we realized that at some point in time, just like the Polaroid cameras or the Kodaks of the world, I mean, that product line has changed into the digital age. I think you're going to see that change. I think you are going to see that change in regards to the LED type of space. And it's speeding up. I mean, you look at when LEDs first came into play, the whole market was spent on, the LEDs for the back of an automobile, that visible spectrum. And there's less energy, time, money spent on the UVC space. I think one thing that COVID will do is, will change that space. I mean, they looked at in 2019, I think the global UV market for UV LED space was like 351 million. By 2025, they're estimating that to be 1.35 billion. So
wow.
That's a compound annual growth rate of like 26%, compared to a CAGR of like 14% in the traditional global UV space. So, I mean, it's growing by leaps and bounds, and that's where the future is going to be. I once said, am I going to see that in my lifetime? And I said no. And now I think that's changing. So 2 years ago, Luminor embarked on a program to put together a system, and we actually took a LED engine and mated that LED engine with our technology in our Blackcomb type of product lines, with the way we display our information, those full color screens and all of the bells and whistles that the Luminor product has, and put together a system. So you might see other LED based systems out there, but their systems are basically an LED device that turns on and off, and that's about it. I mean, Luminor system, I can hook up a Wi-Fi system to my LED device and get an alarm on my phone. So we took it full scale in that regard. So right now we have 2 full systems with the entry-level LED kind of output, and then one with our full color screen. And then we have 2 OEM modules. So the difference between those 2 products is the full system has an integral flow switch in there, because these things turn on and off when you want to bend the water or draw the water, and then they shut off. So that's what gives you that long life. So yeah, we're experimenting with that, and you'll see a lot more of the LED product in Luminor's space over the next couple of years, because it's definitely the future.
You guys even threw it in a sports bottle. I saw that. We're gonna show those around a little bit too.
Yeah, we did. So again, the idea there is everybody's got a water bottle on their desk. So now we incorporate an LED in this space. Simply fill your device with water, press the button on the end. It goes through a 90-second disinfection mode, and now you've got bacteriologically free water on the go. So yeah, lots of cool tools.
It's perfect when people go back to the office. There's always that scary person in your office that you don't want to share a spigot with. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
So, all right, cool, guys. we'll wrap this up. Thank you for
Awesome.
spending some time with us today.
Thanks,
Hey,
everybody.
thanks for having us.
Thanks, Sean. Okay,
Take
take care.
guys.